Hi you folks, how you doing? Haven't made you guys a video in a long time. I really apologize. I'm gonna start making you guys a video once a week, okay? Because you folks are the best. And this video is going to be about the invisible penis. And what that is the average female has this invisible penis today, the invisible dick, that she's grown from propaganda and indoctrination programming through the media, through the general media. The general media teaches them basically that all the problems that they have are just men. A man did it. It doesn't matter what it is. It's fucked up, and it's men's fault. And what lies at the crux of that is the fundamental, one of the most fundamental aspects of feminism, and it's that this is a patriarchy. Now, granted, in the past, it was fucked up, to be it could be really, really fucked up to be a woman. And they get blamed for everything. And they had no power whatsoever, and they just pretty much were just fucked up. Okay, so that's all true. So then, see, therein lies the dilemma. So you can confirm and say, oh yeah, so much of this stuff is true, which is what their complaints are. But then they get the answers from fucking Mars to, what will solve the situation. Because what always solves it, and what's always solved in every scenario that is negative, is to, of course, organize, in America especially, because you can control the political process. You can actually control America through the political process. So I saw Gloria Steinem. She said that it's basically most women, not most, but she was saying that when women are whores and porn stars and all that kind of shit, that they basically have to be that. They're basically forced into it because it's the only game in town. Now I can agree with that. If you look at the past, even as far back as the late 1800s. Even the early 1900s. A lot of times, that's all they could do to survive. Is just be a whore. So, and then on the other end of the spectrum, a lot of women are oppressed in the sense that their sexuality is repressed, and men are actually afraid of their sexuality. So they use it against them. They use it against the female. They take what she is or whatever, and they use it against her. So now what you get here in the modern times is you get this leftover residual of this, and you get a situation where they were taught in the past that to liberate themselves from the power that men had over them, just be a hedonistic whore, and then men can't control you that way. But when you really look at it from a most logical sense, that is what gives men the control over them, okay? Because they're using them and exploiting them, okay? And so you see this, they love to complain about, men are doing this to them and doing that to them and all this kind of shit. So Gloria Steinem said that the word porn actually means slave. So when they just basically just subjugate themselves as porn whores, they're actually subjugating not only themselves, they're subjugating all women, because female energy works together, and that's evidenced by the fact that if you have a bunch of women in a dormitory in college or whatever, then they all eventually start bleeding together. and start having a period at the same time. Now the question is what woman are they all syncing their period to? That's the one that's the most interesting to the mind controllers. And the mind controllers go after that woman wholeheartedly. That's why you see, as an example, you see so many women in Hollywood that are redheaded. Because in general, the redheaded person, especially the female, has a different type of connection to the spirit than the average person. And so they will, and it doesn't always have to be a redhead, but that's a good barometer. But they'll go after that person, and they will experiment on them, traumatize them, pay them off, do all kind of shit, because they want to figure out. They're looking for a woman that every woman's period syncs to, for an example. And then so the invisible penis is a situation where it's a method to transsexualize the average female from female to male, as well as interjected in there is the rape scenario. So what they do is they find these women that they either experiment on with all kind of rape therapies. They drug them up, and then they do all this rape shit to them. Then they release those women into the general world and hold them up as stars, and you see them on television. And so what you're looking at is a transsexual rape model. So you're actually looking at a female with an invisible penis that can't even help it because she's been traumatized in that way. And so what that does is that creates a situation where most women look at that and they see she's so free, she's so powerful, she's so amazing, she's so dynamic. Oh, I'm going to be like that. And there's your snowball effect. And what that is designed to do by the mind controllers is to castrate the general population by controlling the female, making her adopt the male characteristics. She has the dick and takes the dick away from the general male, so that he's just walking around without any potency. And that's how the mind controllers maintain control. Even Alfred Bernays, the father of modern advertising, said that he doesn't have to control the minds of men. He only has to control the female to control the society. And he thought women were stupid. He said it over and over and over. And when Tupac even said that when I rap, I don't rap for the niggas, I rap for the bitches, because the niggas gonna do what the bitches want. See what I'm saying? So, and then you go to one of these forums and shit like that, you see all this convoluted bullshit that women be talking about. And it's just fragments. It's the dumbest ass crap you ever heard. And they'll just keep going over and over and over and over and over the same shit. And they even either have a concerted effort or a singular effort to just cut off your dick. See what I'm saying? But you gotta remember that sometimes you might have to conflict a lot. And sometimes you might not have to conflict that much. You know, there's a saying that goes, oh, if you fight life, it's going to fight you. You know, that's probably true, but, you know, you don't get nowhere, and nothing ever changes without a struggle. So if you don't take the responsibility for knowing what you know and explain it, then you're part of the problem. But if you talk about what you know, I mean, which to me you're obligated to, because it's what you know, or express it in some way, then you're definitely part of the solution. You know what I mean? So, and it ain't easy. That's a lot of complicated shit. You know, so if you're a scholar and you know what's going on a lot, put that shit out there and don't be afraid. You know what I mean? I mean, your perceptions are just as valid as any other perception. So, and women are especially taught to hate you if you're a scholar. They despise you. They're taught to despise you, because that way, that discourages you from being a scholar. It discourages you from looking into things. Discourages you from analyzing shit. And then, then there's no opposition to the mind controllers, because the mind controllers use the intellect. They use all the shit that you learn to control everybody, because they want to maintain hegemony and power. So they'll label you a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're gay because you argue with women, or any of that kind of dumb shit. So just gotta stay strong. Can't be weak. And a lot of times too, men will give in, cave in, especially in today's society. They'll cave in and they'll become gay, or they'll cave in and they will be like bisexuals, because they feel so castrated. They actually feel like a woman. So they'll just, that's what they'll do. So you'll have the ones that are just straight up with it, and then there are the ones that are undercover. I mean, like, I live in Texas, so you just encounter so many ones of them that are undercover with the shit, and shit's fucking annoying, really, but to me. But to each his own, you know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to make the expose about the invisible penis, and where it comes from. And it mainly comes out of the media, the general media, in Hollywood. So in a certain kind of way, women do have a valid argument that they're not responsible for the way they are. But then at the same time, maybe you aren't necessarily responsible for your emotions, and that you have them, because you have them. But maybe you are responsible for what you do about it. That's for sure. So there's a video about the invisible penis.